Wow. I think I just now started going live. It's what, 10 after 7. I thought I was live already. I had the photograph up and everything, and I thought I was talking, but I just now saw the button that said go live. So sorry if you've been on here looking for me to be here. I'm here now, and it says check the internet connection. This is so strange. Things keep popping up. I'm an old man, and this new technology always keeps me a little bit puzzled about what I'm supposed to do and what to click and where to go next. Anyway, thanks for being here. If you're watching me now, then I appreciate that. My name is Buzz Noe. I'm one of the practitioners for the Center for Spiritual Living Pleasant Valley. We do this on Thursday nights midweek we call it our, now something else has come up. I don't understand these little buttons, but I hope I'm on now and that you're able to watch me. And again, our Center for Spiritual Living Pleasant Valley is there to provide that spiritual connection that we all have with life. You know, there's life, and then there's our spirit within. And if you connect that spirit that you have within you with life that's going on around you, you have a much more readily ability to have confidence and everything in what's going on with life. And it keeps coming up here. I can't read what the message is saying. Anyway, the title of my uplift for tonight, and I'm sorry I'm on a little bit late, I didn't realize I wasn't on, is Let's March into April. And so we're ending March as of tonight. This will be the last day of March in 2022. And we're moving into April, which will be the 1st of April tomorrow, which will be April Fool's Day. And April Fool's Day is always fun because people look for ways to do that, create something that is funny or foolish. It keeps saying too low FPS. I don't know what that, I have no idea what that's referencing. But anyway, hopefully I'm on now and you're able to watch me. And the reason I mentioned this marching into April, I've mentioned here before that I was a Navy pilot for 10 years. And coming up through ROTC at Penn State and in my original, early training in the Navy and midshipman cruises that we went on, we oftentimes did marching exercises where we would gather together as a group and march forward. And what I always enjoyed about the idea of marching is that you had a lot more confidence in wherever we were going when you were marching with another group of people. Marching took me forward so much more confidently than moving forward on my own or wondering what was coming up next. These questions never came up in marching. It was just following the same pose, the same effort that everyone else was doing, the same rhythm. That was the whole idea of marching. So I decided that if we could move confidently out of March tonight and into April tomorrow, we'd be marching into April. And that's why I wanted to bring this up as the uplift tonight. Let's march into April. Let's be confident that what's coming up next is going to be what we need in our lives, what we need on this earth. And when I say we, sometimes we as humans would like to see this as opposed to that. But we have to remember that the oneness that we call the source of life, God, takes care of the entire universe. And with anything else, there's aspects of what might need to happen to evolve the universe forward that we humans could be in the way. So this can happen in our lives. When it does happen, if something goes left instead of right, when you were hoping for this instead of that, just know that something else is moving forward. I've referenced this before. We've had these forest fires here in California, these fires that have taken out some of the residence areas and things like that. And certainly they were not good for the humans that were there. But if you look at those areas now where they're completely reborn and all green and nature has come back, it has moved that aspect of life forward. So even when things don't go the way you personally would want them, just be confident that they're going the way that's needed to be done for the evolution and the benefit of all life. That way, with that confidence, you can march into the future as opposed to sneaking into it or wandering or crawling or wondering what's coming up next. Because if you go forward with that confidence that things are going to be working out for you and for life, then that helps your entire health situation. I looked that up several times. And if you have confidence, self-confidence, let's call it, in what's coming up next in your life, it's going to help your mental situation. That will help your cellular situation in your body. So it not only adds to your mental and your emotional and your physical or your spiritual health, it helps your physical health as well. The more you can be confident that the future is going to be what is needed to be for this world to evolve, the better you're going to feel about it, the more you can be ready for things to happen that may not be the way that you personally would want to see them happen, but they are helping someone else, somewhere else, something else is being helped. And that confidence that the evolution of life is taking place in a positive manner for everyone else is going to keep you more confident about your situation in life. That confidence is going to assist your, as I said, mental, spiritual, and your physical health will all be benefited by you having the confidence in marching forward into life. Now, we are coming into April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. I think I mentioned earlier, but I don't know if I was on before, but I looked up a little research on April Fool's Day, and there's no specific reason that April 1st is April Fool's Day. The most historical reference I found was that back in the 1500s, France switched from, I guess you would say it was the Julian calendar, which started the year as the spring equinox began, which was essentially April 1st. And they switched to the Gregorian calendar, which started the new year on January 1st, which is what we're all in now. But when they first did that, the first year, certainly in first couple of years, I guess, a lot of people that had been living their lives on the Julian calendar still were looking at the 1st of April as the new year. And the new year had already started back in January. So they considered those people that made that mistake in when the new year was actually starting as April Fools. And that started the whole idea of doing something funny and having some fun on April 1st, which is what created April Fool's Day. And that's what makes it part of our lives today. So that's coming up tomorrow. And just know that you're going to probably find some things on the internet. Who knows, relatives might be doing something to fool you one way or another. So once again, just be aware and be ready for April Fool's Day, and look to have some fun in it as opposed to being concerned about this or that or the other thing or what might happen. And that's the whole idea of marching into April, going forth with the confidence that the future is unfolding, as our Reverend Betty Ann said. Our future is unfolding perfectly, no matter what. Because if you look at that quote that she gave, that no matter what can reference a lot of things that are going on in life. And the quote that she gives is such a great opportunity for you to go, hey, regardless of that, my future is unfolding perfectly, because that gives you that confidence that things are going to work out ultimately for the better, as opposed to being concerned. And that lets you march into the future as opposed to crawling into it, sneaking into it, trying to figure out what's going on, because the future is something that is never an absolute. The past is an absolute. I've mentioned that before. Everything that happened in the past through the entire growth of the universe itself had to happen the way it did in order to be right here where you are. Because if anything could have changed at any time, who knows where things would have gone from that point, and whether or not you would still be here right now. But since you are here, that it all had to happen the way it did. And what is not an absolute is what's going to happen next, because nature, again, is unfolding in a huge manner, and sometimes we could be in the way of that, sometimes not. So if you are predicting and anticipating something's going to happen, don't be too shocked by the fact that that doesn't happen. It doesn't go the way you were anticipating. Just know that it's helping life and ultimately helping you out. And that way you will go march into April as opposed to crawling into it. And since we are coming up to April 1st, and it is April Fool's Day, I thought I would share a couple of April Foolish comments with you. And these, well, you may have heard some of these before, but here you go. The first one: what did Snow White say while she was waiting in line for her photos? Well, what she said is, "Someday my prince will come." And they did. Another one: what do you call a bear with no teeth? Oh, that's a gummy bear. And here's one: what rock group consists of four men who do not sing or play any instruments? Well, that rock group would be Mount Rushmore. Those four men don't ever sing, don't ever play instruments, but they are a rock group. So, and here's the last one I'll share with you. Why couldn't the couple get married at the library? Well, because it was all booked up. There you have it. And that's essentially my lesson for tonight. My uplift is just a reminder that we're here in life. Again, the past brought us here. We're here. Let's know that this is where we are intended to be because everything had to happen the way it happened to be here. And let's know that what's coming up next will be something that is going to be to the benefit of us individually and to the benefit of life around us. And that way you'll have that self-confidence. And like I said, that's going to help your mental health, your spiritual connection, of course, and your physical health will benefit from having that. And so I just suggest that we all look forward to what's coming up next, march into April, and stay confident that it's all happening for the benefit of life all around us. And when that occurs, it's helping us individually as well. So that's essentially my lesson for tonight. I want to thank you all for being here. And if you are able to, we're going to have on Sunday two things. Our spiritual center will be open for a live presentation, of course. You're welcome to come there. That's going to start at 10:30. And then subsequent to that, we're going to have our annual meeting, our membership meeting. And you don't have to be a member to be there, but you do have to be a member to vote and put any input into what's going on with our center. And once again, we want to thank and appreciate the effort of Yvonne Elrath, who's been our financial administrator for the past 11 years, but has to now move on to do some family things. So we're looking for someone to help us out with that. If you know anyone who can, please let us know. So if you can be there Sunday, we'll look forward to having you there. And we're going to have a wonderful live lesson. Reverend Pam's going to be presenting that, and I'll be one of the practitioners. We're going to do some fun things. So it's going to help us march into April. And as we march through April into the rest of this year, everything's going to be perfect for you, for me, for all of us. And that's the message for tonight. That's the uplift. Stay confident. Keep on marching. And I'm going to close with a spiritual treatment that will help us get into the night, through the day, through the April Fool's Day coming up, and have a great weekend coming up. So, as I say these words in the first person, please make them your own. You can close your eyes, clasp your hands. Know along with me these words as I say them in the first person, that I know that right here and right now, in this singular moment, in the continuing, eternal, and infinite evolution of time and space, there is one source to all that is, one source to life, one source to all in the universe. And we call that source God. You can reference that source by many different names. That's what we humans do. But God is as good as any to reference the infinite source of life. And knowing there is one God, and I'm here from that source that we look at as God, I am thereby connected with God. Everything that you come from, you are connected to. I come from God, I'm connected to God. And I do know also, since I am one with God, I am acting and posing as God, as me. That's those things that I say, that I do, are manifestations of what God is there to do. And so I choose those efforts, those words, those things that I do to look to moving us forward as a race, as a species, as a universe. So my focus on what I do next in my life is based first and foremost on love. If I can come from love, if I can enact love, if I can perform love as myself, I know that I am now acting as God and continuing the evolution of life. I add to that love that I bring forward and focus on kindness, compassion, sharing who I am as I am, bringing joy when I can and where I can to everyone else and everything else that is in this universe. And I also add giving as I can, when I can, to the rest of life, knowing that as I bring myself forward with these things as my main focus, they are coming back to me, because that which you put out comes back to you. You can say it comes back tenfold. The more love I put out, the more that will come back to me. The more kindness and compassion and sharing I put out, the more that will be returned to me in my life. And for this opportunity, this awareness, this connection that I have with God, I have to say, thank you, God. Thank you for life. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you for our center and all that it does to bring forth this joy, kindness, and compassion to everyone and everything that we interact with. And with this in mind, I now release these words to the oneness, the infinite oneness that is God, to take care of the details, because when you are infinite in power, those details are easy to manifest. Whereas I will continue to go forward with this same focus, with my gratitude towards God for life as it is and as it has unfolded for me and continues to do so. And so I release these words with our final statement, and so it is. And so it is. I was happy to be here tonight, I should say. It's getting dark out now, for our spiritual uplift for Thursday. I'm not certain who's next week, but it might be my dear wife, Lynn. I know she's coming up later in April if it's not next week. But we'll post that. It'll be the announcements and it'll be out online. So that's it for tonight. Thank you all for joining me. Let's stay confident about our lives. Let's march into April. And everybody stay healthy, stay happy, stay well. Thanks again. And good night to all.